Andy, how many times have you watched Only Child now?
Probably 30 plus, at least.
30
while
plus.
making it, and then since then another couple of hundred times probably.
And do you see new things every time that you watch it?
Not really, just the same old things that I wished weren't things.
I was trying to incentivize the audience to watch the film 30 times in order to keep returning to it. But it's an amazing film, and there was a kind of stillness in the room after it finished, so that people have been really affected. So let's go back right to the very beginning. And talk about something really important. What are your top 3 Keanu Reeves performances to date, Andy?
I'm glad you gave me a heads up on that question.
There aren't many to choose from. No, there are. No, that's not being...
Speed was my number 1. Bill and Ted was my number 2.
The audience like that.
And
Shane's waving his hand at the back. Bill and Ted fan.
And then The Matrix was my number 3.
Ooh.
But I literally haven't seen any other Keanu Reeves films.
Okay.
Apart from the other 2 Matrix films.
Yeah, John Wick 1, 2, and 3.
I haven't seen 3, 2, or 1. Or that.
Which Matrix film was your choice? The first one?
Oh, yeah, the only one.
Okay,
The other two shouldn't exist.
Oh dear.
Come on. How can you disagree with that?
The audience are turning against us, Andy, so let's move on. Was it always obvious, Andy, that you were going to become a film director? Were you a creative child?
From the womb.
Okay.
No, in all seriousness, I did not imagine making films at any stage, really.
Okay.
I kind of say that I came into it by accident. Through the back door, if anything.
What does the back door of getting into filmmaking look like? Because
I
am trying to find it, so where is it?
It's a kind of convoluted route that involves studying computer science, becoming a freelance graphic designer with an interest in photography.
Right.
And then getting asked to do an animation as part of that. Thinking, hey, that can't be too hard.
Yeah.
I do still images.
Yeah.
I can make them move.
Yeah.
Tearing my hair out, realizing I don't have the patience or the skills to be an animator, but it coming out okay anyway. And then getting asked to do video work off the back of that.
Okay.
And just thinking, hey, I now have a camera. Why don't I start making stories with this?
And before, I know that you had a background in, as well as the screen, the stage. Can you tell us a bit about your stage experience as a child?
Yes.
The sound of embarrassment.
I think probably, looking back, the pieces of the skills kind of needed to be a filmmaker were there, perhaps, in seed form. And one of those things would have been the fact that when I was probably 9 or 10, I used to get friends together each year, and we would kind of write a pantomime, or I'd write the pantomime. I think I probably got the impression that writing and directing was dictating, basically. And I'd write various pantomimes along the themes of Cinderella the Mad Scientist, just twisting the traditional
What
roles.
happened in that pantomime? I'm dying to know.
She was indeed a mad scientist, and ended up falling for Prince Charming, who I think was a biochemist or something.
Wow, I can't wait till that hits the West End. Yeah.
Hey, I played one of the 2 ugly sisters, so that says it all, really.
Okay. And what was the moment that you thought, I've now become a filmmaker? Was there a moment, or was it gradual?
I started off making the sort of run of the mill, pay the bills kind of little short promos for people. Then started doing a few videos where I would kind of get someone's story. One of my friends used to be in the Marines, and so I kind of told his story. But then I met the guy who's now my business partner and my kind of co-filmmaking buddy, Joe, and we just decided, it's kind of winter, snow has fallen, we don't get a lot of that. Let's go and make The Revenant before The Revenant gets made.
What was your budget like? Equal to The Revenant?
Our budget, I think, was probably a fraction of a tank of petrol.
Okay.
Our crew was 2. our cast was one, unless he was being part of the crew as well.
And did he go full Leonardo DiCaprio?
He went beyond Leonardo DiCaprio. In fact, I think I've heard Leonardo DiCaprio say that he channeled Joe's performance when he was doing The Revenant.
Okay.
Apparently.
And is it the glamorous lifestyle that it's made out to be? It doesn't sound that glamorous, I'll be honest, from what you've just described.
I wouldn't say it was particularly glamorous, kind of trekking through the snow, getting frostbite and all that kind of thing. But it was like thrilling and fun, and just, I really felt like as I was doing this, I was kind of seeing stuff that I'd enjoyed doing in the past, all coming together in this one thing of like filmmaking, which I had no idea what filmmaking really was.
Okay, so you're kind of falling forward a bit and just feeling your way. Yeah,
totally, and doing it for the love of it and as a kind of, thing to do in spare time rather than feeling the pressure to be like coming up with ideas. We were just making what we felt like making, and one of us would kind of come up with a crazy idea and we'd say, yeah, that sounds like a good film. Let's make it.
Well, in which case, tell us how, so you studied chemistry, right? No.
I studied computer science.
Computer science, okay.
Yeah.
How did a computer scientist go from just picking up a camera, making stuff with friends, to creating what we've just seen in Only Child?
So a large part of it, well, the reason the film got made is something called the Pitch Film Competition. One of the things that we used to kind of motivate ourselves to actually get films finished was competitions when we started doing stuff. And the pitch was one of the things we spotted really early on. It's got a really generous production budget as the prize,
right?
But a really kind of low bar for entry, in that all you have to do to enter the pitch is kind of submit a 2-minute video pitch for an adapted Bible story, basically. So you take a Bible story and you set it in a kind of contemporary setting, and you pitch the idea for that in 2 minutes, and enter it into the competition. So I was like, we got to enter this,
That's interesting, because I'm not sure that many people here, maybe some did, picked up that was a Bible story that had been adapted. Did anyone pick it up, and did anyone know the story? There's one hand at the back. What was the story that you adapted?
The story for my film was the story of David and Bathsheba, a king called David, and Bathsheba, who was the wife of one of his best fighting men. It's actually kind of subtly told in the song Hallelujah, which everyone knows from the many cover versions and the ultimate cover version, Jeff Buckley. But he talks about, like, he saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty in the moonlight overthrew you. And that's King David looking from the roof of his palace and seeing his best friend's wife bathing, lusting after her, taking her for his wife.
Okay.
And a kind of affair follows, and the child dies.
Okay. And
is that the end?
And that's the, ooh, interesting. So you're not, there's no sequel planned for Only Child, no?
Maybe.
Okay.
Only twins, maybe, or something? I don't know.
What's the process of pitching an idea? So you've got this kind of, this idea, this kind of core of an idea. How do you take that from, what was the process like in Enter the Pitch?
For me, because one of my least favourite things is to be in front of camera or in front of a room full of people, I was like, this is brilliant. We don't have to do anything to camera. We can just make a really cool trailer, and we'll just make a trailer that gives the idea of the film. So I entered it 2 years, and the first year we did this kind of spook / Jason Bourne film style thing, and it was really cool, really slick. That was great fun. And then Only Child, we did a similar kind of different tone, but similar idea of making a trailer, telling the story in voiceover, choosing music that kind of really gets across the feel of the film. And some people do that. Other people who enter the competition do just speak to camera, and people have, I think, won it, or at the very least been runners-up just from doing a 2-minute pitch of their story to camera. So it really is like open to anyone, any skill levels.
And so what changed between year 1 and year 2 if you pitched twice? What was the kind of key takeaway from the first year for kind of budding filmmakers out there? What would your advice be to them?
So the first year's idea, like I say, was something that I thought was really cool, really slick. We enjoyed making the trailer. I did get through to the top 10, so I had a chance to pitch it in person. And I think it was during that pitch that I realized, you know what, this is a really cool idea on the surface, but it doesn't have any substance beneath it. And so I went away thinking, right, for next year, because I am going to enter this thing again, for next year, I don't just want to come back with something cool. I want to come back with something that I really care about, something that I connect to, a story that I can emotionally engage with and that will capture the judges' attention as well.
And so once your pitch was accepted, okay, they decided to go with it. What was the process like of moving forward and actually making really the first film that you were directing, being away from the camera? Yeah,
that's right. So Only Child was pretty much the first proper set I went on to. And yeah, it was like a kind of baptism by fire, I guess. Lots of stuff you kind of have to learn because it's happening. I think I'd got enough of a sense mainly from the Lord of the Rings behind the scenes stuff, right? Got enough of a sense of how kind of films and film sets work, in that, you know, there's a clapperboard, and so I knew a little bit about some of that stuff.
Right.
But generally, it was just this amazement that I didn't have to be like the guy holding the camera, running sound, asking the actors to do this, checking the costume. It didn't have to all be on me. Suddenly I had a whole team of people who were only too willing to kind of take those areas and bring all the expertise that they had, which was far greater than mine, and just make my vision come to life. It was a real privilege, incredible.
I want to just ask you about a few specific things that you made happen, because I think it's fascinating. I just noticed in that film that the presence of water is quite important, right? So you've got the shower, and then you've got the...
Dude, well done. Did someone tell you that?
No. Wow, I'm just really observant. No, but then...
Water and cups of tea.
Oh, maybe I did know that. Okay, so I'm sorry if you told me in one of our conversations this week and I've just totally forgotten and regurgitated as if it's spontaneous. So sorry if that's just happened.
No, I really didn't tell you. So that's
okay.
Good.
And then you've got rain coming down tight. Now, was the weather planned, or what did that just? Is it someone standing with a watering can over the top of the caravan, or how did you do it?
As those of you guys who've been to Wales will know, we have a little microclimate. It's a carefully guarded secret, but actually in Wales, it's sunny all the time. So as we filmed it, we actually had to fake rain in Wales. In a country of like 98% rainfall, we had to fake all of our rain because we had 5 glorious days of like June Welsh weather.
Oh no. So, but how did you fake it?
How did we fake it? Well, with the highly technical and, you know, obviously had to put a lot of time, energy and budget into buying a hose pipe from B&Q and poking holes through it with a knitting needle.
And there's also CGI trickery, right? So there's the kind of very, I don't know what you would call that, just the bodge. Yeah, thank you. The bodge job of creating rain out of a hose pipe. But then there's also like some CGI stuff as well, isn't there?
There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears gone into CGI, mainly my own. You wouldn't, hopefully you wouldn't think it, because I think that's the point of good CGI. You shouldn't notice it. But we had to shoot with the caravan windows off because they had a slight kind of tint to them, so everything inside was too dark to see. But also they reflected back, cast, crew, and camera. So those two combinations meant we had to take the windows off and then put them all back in post.
Wow. I didn't notice that at all. That's amazing.
You didn't
no, not at all.
What CGI did you think there was?
I don't know.
Oh, the dragon scene at the end, right? With the
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I was thinking about the fact that you had managed to create this one kind of seamless shot going round the caravan, but obviously it was going through day and night, which is the only way I could think of doing it, unless you not only created rain, but you also created the states of day and night in Wales in some kind of bizarre microclimate. How did you do that?
No, fair play. That was also computer trickery. We didn't just build an entire dome in order to switch the sun on and off. So it was 13. In order to make our 9-month-long tracking shot, we stitched together 13 different shots.
Okay.
Of varying durations. And most of them, if you watch the film back, which you can do if you go online and search for Only Child, you will see there's usually something which wipes across screen, or just a big blank chunk of caravan that you can cut shots between.
Okay, fantastic. And you actually feature in the film yourself, in front of camera as well as behind. I know there are a few people in the room who make cameo appearances in the film, so if you can spot them around, then take a moment to glance. But Andy, you make a cameo. Where was your cameo?
Anyone guess?
Wow!
Oh, well
that's
done.
Good.
What can I say? I've got very distinctive feet.
How did you know that? Oh, wow.
So you were thinking, if I was going to cameo in this film...
it would be the foot.
That is cool.
Well, can we just say that your foot makes an incredible performance in that film? It's absolutely amazing. Was it? Was those shoes?
This foot, I think it was my right foot.
Andy's right foot will be available for questions and signings after this evening. Andy, let's move on to the themes of the film. You said earlier that you wanted something that you would engage with emotionally, that meant something to you. Clearly you had the Bible story, but just tell us why you wanted to make that film.
I think I was particularly drawn to David and Bathsheba's story, and even within their story, particularly the fact that they lose a child, because it was something that my wife and I had been through during pregnancy. We'd lost a baby quite early on. Miscarriages are very common, 1 every 30 seconds, when I kind of researched it. And that whole kind of process of the impact that had on us, grieving it individually, trying to work out what it meant to grieve as a couple, and go through that, was a large part of what I guess went into particularly the final film. The actual pitch for Only Child was quite different. It was a lot more about a mother who was desperate to have her child back. In the end, as we kind of just dug deeper and deeper into what the story was about, why I was making it, it became a lot more about a couple struggling to grieve together, and the hope of connecting eventually after making so many cups of tea for each other. But yeah, so that's where it came from personally.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Did you find the process of making the film helpful in terms of processing your experience as well? Or?
I did actually, yeah. My wife less so. She hates the film. She still can't watch it, which is fair enough. But yeah, I remember after we'd done the first cut actually, which was here in London, travelling back on the good old National Express coach to Wales, and just having a good sob in my seat, and kind of hoping people around me wouldn't see too much. But yeah, it was just, I guess, cathartic is the kind of overused word, but I think it was one of the ways probably for me that I processed it. And I think it would have been different for Soph, and I guess it is different because she'd been carrying the baby, and I'd had that more of a distance in that sense. But yeah, I'm glad in a kind of painful way that I'd made it about something personal, and I felt whenever I've opened up about what it's really about, people have often come and kind of share their own stories. Or even when I haven't said that it's linked to a personal story, quite often people have come up and said, "Oh yeah, we lost a child, and thanks for making that." Yeah,
I think one of the things that I find really interesting about evenings like this and film festivals is the opportunity to share someone else's experience. And share personal stories, and the whole act of filmmaking is a very empathetic act, and being able to experience something that someone else has experienced and share that with them. I wonder, we've talked a bit about the fact that it's a Bible story, and you would describe yourself as a Christian, and I wonder, we've talked about how filmmaking has been cathartic for you in this process. How is being a Christian helpful for you in processing those kinds of experiences?
Desperately trying to repress the burps that the beer is inducing. So inappropriate, right? I think what I've realized, like, the more I've sort of journeyed as a Christian, is that ultimately being a Christian is about knowing a person. There is the Bible, there is kind of teachings of Jesus, but ultimately it's about knowing Jesus personally. And I think being a Christian through that situation of losing the baby was incredibly helpful to know that Jesus is someone who is God, but is also human at the same time. And so he's not distant and removed, kind of watching over the world with this kind of arm's length attitude. He's actually stepped into our suffering and our situations. So going through that, there was a sense that I guess the connection which Eva and Davro in the film are longing for, that was available to me and to sow throughout. However much we were misunderstanding each other, there was still this sense of we have God close to us in a way that's not easy to kind of pin down and say, look, logically, rationally, this was happening, but his presence was very much real through that, and the awareness that we weren't suffering alone, even if we didn't have an answer to the question why. There was a sense that he's here, he's with us.
Thanks for sharing that. I wonder your wider filmmaking career. So, presumably you're in the process of shooting something at the moment. Is that right?
Yeah, so I've gone on to do quite a lot of stuff as a DOP, which is short for Director of Photography, in part because it's the best bits of filmmaking. It's the stuff on set without so much of the kind of harder, painful stuff of like casting and editing and all that stuff. So I've done quite a bit of DOP stuff, but I am at the same time really trying to get back into writing and getting something together to make some more films.
Excellent. Yep. Yeah. Next, the Week on the Green 2020, we'll see you'll come back with another film.
It's a good challenge.
How does being a Christian make a difference in that existence? Is it quite a challenging environment to work in?
Yeah, the filmmaking world, I don't know, for those of you guys who are involved either on the fringes of the industry or more kind of in the center, in the kind of conventional film industry, it's a funny place because there is a lot of, I think, insecurity, sometimes very obvious depending on the person, sometimes beneath the surface, because so much of what you're doing and how other people value you is based on, can I make the next project better than the last one?
Right.
The judgment is all about, you are as good as your last film was. And so there's pressure to be like trying to better the last film and
be the new Spielberg.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a world which, has a lot of people who are, keen to be consuming films, keen to be consuming content. It's a world of pressure, I think. Being a Christian in that, I think, has just brought a sense of perspective to it. Part of the pitch competition, part of the prize is to take the film out to Hollywood.
Wow.
And that was good fun. It was really great to see like Hollywood. First time I'd ever been to America.
How many burgers did you eat?
Lots. Oh man, burgers every day. I was Yeah, I'm not the biggest burger fan either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of burgers going on, but some good Mexican food. That was good. I'll take the Mexican food. But yeah, just in that kind of environment of everyone clamoring to be the next big thing. I've just found a lot of security and peace outside of that, because my identity's not based on who I am as a filmmaker. It's based on who I am as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus.
Let's finish on this one. What does, say, if your identity is based on being a Christian, what does that mean to you in 2 sentences?
2 sentences.
I thought 1 sentence would be quite mean, so I've given you 2. But no one's judging you on punctuation, so it could be a long sentence or 2 sentences.
I think probably the freedom to fail and peace when there's discouragements and rejections and knockbacks, I think.
Fantastic.